After a loss last night to the Dallas Mavericks, the Chicago Bulls have 8 games left on their schedule. That's 8 games left. While they sit 8 games below 500, they have the 10th worst record in the NBA. What are the biggest questions facing the Chicago Bulls over the final 8? I'm going to talk about all that, plus dive into the mailbag and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And the Chicago Bulls have 8 games left on their schedule, right? And after the Bulls have played a great set of games, when you look at how that West Coast road trip started for the Chicago Bulls. In fact, they played 8 games in 14 nights and won the majority of those games. This Bulls team is rocking and rolling right now. They're 9th in the Eastern Conference. They have the 10th worst record, though, in the league. They're 7-3 in their last 10. The Bulls are playing really freaking well. Now, there's still questions facing the Chicago Bulls. Now, for people that are watching the odds, and especially the lottery odds, the Bulls still sit right now as the 10th worst record in the league. The loss yesterday moved them down, up, however you want to look at that, especially with the Miami Heat winning. So the Bulls now have an 11.7% chance at the number one overall pick, and I'm sorry, at a top 4 pick, and a 2.5% chance at the number one overall pick. It is what it is there, right? But more importantly, the Bulls, when you look at their schedule, right, they have one of the easiest schedule remaining over these last 8 games. And so, that's a big thing there for the Chicago Bulls if they're able to make move. They have the 24th hardest schedule in the league, which means they have the 7th easiest schedule in the league, right? So it's opportunity for the Bulls to really kind of, continue to see what they're going to do this offseason. They have a couple of very big matchups, even over those final 8, that could be really good measuring sticks for exactly where the Chicago Bulls are, right? So we have a game against OKC on Monday. That's going to be crazy. And then we have a game against Cleveland on April 8th. Other than that, they're all very winnable games. Other than those 2 games, we have the Raptors, the Trailblazers, the Hornets, the Heat, the Wizards, and then our last game of the season against the Philadelphia 76ers on April 13th. So, guys, we're right at 2 weeks away, basically from the end of the season. The Bulls are still going to be in that play-in. So what are some of the biggest questions facing the team, right? One of the biggest questions is that we have, of course, can Josh Giddy and Coby White keep it up, right? How much are they going to be able to keep it up? We saw Josh Giddey have a bad game last night. Objectively, I think that's a bad game that he played last night. But again, he was never going to score 20 points every single game. He wasn't going to flirt with a triple-double every single game. It doesn't all of a sudden mean what he did prior to that is null and void. It just means, hey, he had a bad game. But Josh Giddey, we talked about it. This team has done a really good job at, playing off of him. He's done a really good job at helping making the players better around him. And he's going to bounce back. It seemed like everybody was low energy last night. Not to throw Josh any bell on that when he needs to be better, but I think he will be better. I'm not too worried about it, right? 3 of 12 from the field, 8 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists in the game. He still had 2 blocks, right? So, Josh Giddey's going to, everybody has a bad game. The Dallas Mavericks are really attacking him a lot, trying to get him in switches and pick and rolls and things like that. And that kind of brings this question to light, right? Is that, listen, when you put the NBA on notice, right? When you have the number of wins out on the West that the Bulls did have, when you beat the Lakers twice, one in dramatic fashion, teams are going to understand, hey, we got to do things. And you're seeing already how defenses are scheming Coby and Josh Giddey differently, right? They're trying to attack Josh Giddey on the defensive side of the ball, which I still think he's doing a better job than not most times, right? But that's part of his development. You need to have those uncomfortable moments, and you need to fail a little bit, right, to be able to grow from it. Josh Giddey, he's going to learn. He's going to grow from it. We're going to see what he has, right? Coby White, they are now scheming to try to keep the ball out of Coby White's hands. And to Billy Donovan's credit and execution as a coach, they are still doing things that matter, right? They're still finding a way to get the ball in Coby's hands, and he's still finding a way to be impactful in that. He was 8 of 16 from the field yesterday with 11 rebounds and 2 assists. Still had 4 turnovers, right? But I think so much of what this Bulls team has done has been based off using the skill sets of Josh Giddey and Coby White to see how this season continues to finish for them, that's going to be really important. So that's one of the biggest questions in this. How strong can Josh, Giddy, and Coby finish the season together in tandem? And then how those players play off of that is a really big question there. Next up, the rotation, right? Especially if we do get fully healthy, which is looking less and less likely. We'll talk about injury updates to Tre Jones and Lonzo Ball here later on the show, right? But the rotation is going to be a very interesting thing on how that happens, right? Because Billy is still trying to figure it out, right? His post-game comments yesterday kind of pointed towards that as well, right? But, you have players that are not really being consistent, right? P. Will was terrible, objectively terrible in yesterday's game, a -19, 0 for 3 from the field, and they rightfully so moved on from him. But then you got players like Dalen Terry, who played 26 minutes. He was +10, a solid night on the stat sheet, even though he had some defensive moments that weren't quite what we've come accustomed to him from. But again, lack of energy on the whole entire team. Not trying to make these questions just based off last night's game, just using kind of last night's game to highlight why they're questions, if that makes sense, right? Julian Phillips, right? Does he gain some from maybe Patrick Williams falling out of the rotation? And then, of course, Jalen Smith. What is going on with Jalen? I don't want to cause too much speculation or anything like that, but like it does bring a question, especially in a game like last night where Patrick Williams wasn't bringing it. Julian Phillips was solid 2 of 2 from the field, but like you would think that Jalen Smith can maybe make more out of those minutes with how he's looked at times. So the DNPs for Jalen are a little weird, especially at this stage. I think as you gear towards the play in, and especially if you do make the playoffs and have to face off against the Cleveland Cavaliers, that's going to be a tough matchup if you're not using and utilizing some double big lineups. So, you want to try to get those in there and find those balances between those now, especially over these last 8 games. So the rotation, like who falls in, who comes in, especially as you get players back healthy. If Lonzo and Tre Jones come back, like what does that mean? Does Dalen fall out of the rotation? Is Julian falling out of the rotation? How much smaller are you going to go? Is it just P. Will that's falling out of the rotation? You got those questions that need to be answered as well. And it's really up to the head coach and the coaching staff and Billy Donovan to kind of figure out that balance there. I think that they will, but right now it is a question, right? And then, of course, like the backcourt. Once Tre and Lonzo are both back healthy, I know that we aren't a team that hesitates to use 3, sometimes even 4 guards out there at a time, right? So, that backcourt rotation of Tre Jones and Lonzo Ball comes back, who's playing and where, right? Like, how are you going to find the way to get those guys in the most important positions? And then lastly, as well, is Buzelis, right? Does Modest continue to add to his game? Like, when you look at the way that Modest, I get it was way less minutes, but if you look at how timid Modest was kind of to start off the season, right? And I know it's weird to say because he always has that mentality of being aggressive, but I mean, like, as far as like going outside maybe the confines of exactly what Billy Donovan told him to do, like now you're seeing Modest put the ball on the floor. You're seeing that up and over move that he uses paired with the Euro step that is really dangerous at his size and his length to help him get to the rim, right? You saw last night, Modest led us in scoring. He was the only guy that had some energy consistently for the entire night. So that's another thing. Of course, like how much does Modest learn over the stretch, especially going into his first postseason, whatever you want to look at it. Playing is still postseason play, right? Like, so how does he play and perform in that after initially looking like he was hitting a rookie wall? Is he coming out on the other side of that? That I think is going to be important for this Bulls team as well. So, there's still some big questions facing the team. How strongly do we finish is a big thing. And does the solid coaching continue, right? So, overall, the Bulls came through what was probably the most difficult stretch remaining on the schedule with a winning record over that stretch. And I think like I've seen a lot of kind of knee-jerk reactions now, of course, to things like this loss against the Dallas Mavericks, when in reality, like they came out of it much better than anybody. Like one loss, like you're gonna have bad losses. And even then, the Bulls lost by 1 point. They were able to still have enough fight late in that game that they didn't have energy in to still compete. And had Vooch made a free throw, we could have been talking about overtime, and then who knows what could have happened, right? And it woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? The Bulls still lost the game, still had 19 turnovers, right? So those things are still existence. You can't just act like they weren't there, but this is a Bulls team that has been showing a lot more fight. Does that fight continue here over the remaining part of the season? I think that's going to be an important part, man. This team has just been playing so night and day different. And that's something that as a Bulls fan, I really appreciate wholeheartedly, is just to see this team play and fight the way that they have been, man, because they have been doing it over the last 10 games. The Chicago Bulls have the 7th best net rating in the game of basketball. the ninth best defensive rating. Ninth best offensive rating. The eighth best defensive rating. 10th in true shooting percentage. 60% true shooting as a team over 10 games. I don't think people really realize how difficult that is to maintain. And then even if you look over the last 20 games, 11th in net rating, 13th in offense, 13th in defense, 13th in true shooting percentage for a team that was towards the bottom half of the league for a period of time with those. Like, the Bulls have really gotten a lot better, man. And I get why there's still a lot of doubt over how legitimate this is, but hey, we won't really know that until next season starts. So as of right now, we're going to have fun with it, man, is all I can say. But all right, before we get into the mailbag portion, Tre Jones. Seems like Tre Jones may have had a bit of a setback himself. He's still in the walking boot. And so while he's still kind of in that 2-week time period, technically, he should be coming out of that soon. The Monday OKC game is where, originally he would have been slated if he hits that 2 weeks to come back. And it does not seem via Billy Donovan's comments that's probably going to happen. Now, again, things could very well change. I'm not in that medical room. So I can't say for sure, but if he does, get a little bit extended, the question is, all right, how much sooner when does he come back and play, right? So, we'll see in that, but Billy Donovan's comments was this. The biggest thing is going to end up being, or at least the hope is, that he does come out of the boot and is pain-free. If he still has some pain after the 2 weeks, I don't know what the doctor's recommendation would be. Does he stay in the boot? Does he get out of it? They want to see him walking without a boot, without any pain. It has subsided from where it was. He has the boot on all day, and then he's not sleeping with it, but they want to keep that foot pretty immobile for at least those 2 weeks. So, and they did present it as he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Doesn't mean that he was going to be cleared in 2 weeks. And so because of that, it seems like we're going to be without Tre Jones for a little bit longer. And we know that Lonzo suffered a bit of a setback as well. So we'll see. Hopefully speedy recovery to those guys to get back on the court sooner rather than later. And we'll see what they got when they get back. So there you go on that one. All right, let's get into the mailbag portion of the day. It is Sunday. This first voicemail we got, this one's from a first-time caller, Maltese.
Hey, man, what's going on? This is Maltese Anderson checking in from Dallas, Texas. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm from the city of Chicago, from the west side of Chicago, from the Austin community. Man, what a game. What a game from the Chicago Bulls, man, on the 27th. That buzzer beater, man, I haven't seen nothing like that since maybe the Derrick Rose days, when the Derrick Rose man was out there playing. But the team, I always been following the Bulls. I'm a real Bulls fan, whether we win or lose. I'm a Chicago fan. I'm just happy, for the city of Chicago. Anything positive that could come out of this, man, we need to grab it. I think this young resurgence, Chris, I think this resurgence of this young team is definitely the future. I like Giddy and Coby White, both of them guys in our backcourt. They've been doing a phenomenal job. They won 9 of 11 games, and they are they're a dangerous team. They're the highest team in the NBA. And I think they ain't put the NBA on notice that they have no quit in them. They're going to play. They're going to play to its triple zeros, and that's all you can ask for any young team or any NBA team. Billy Donovan, he's a great coach. I know I've seen him when he used to play for Bobby Knight in Indiana. And, he got a great philosophy. And I think the team has bought into his system. I think it's a team. They winning because of the team. It's not about one player, 2 players, 3 players. It's the team. They all putting in together. And when you got a whole team believing that they belong, look, this team can play with anybody. They beat the Lakers 2 times. They swept the Lakers, blew them out on their home court, then to come home and win on their home court. They beat Golden State on their home court. They beat all these West Coast teams on their home court the second go around since the All-Star break. Definitely they put the NBA on notice. I think that they're a dog horse team of the Eastern Conference. I do believe that if they keep playing like this, I believe they got a chance to either be the 6th seed or the 5th seed if they keep playing like this. If they keep playing like this, I don't think they fear nobody. I think they got a chance, an opportunity to win many games as they possibly can. I'm out. Thank you.
Amazing game versus the Lakers. And for anyone who didn't pick up on it, he did leave this voicemail after the Lakers game, not after last night's game. But having no quit is a great trait to have as a team, especially for a team that's growing, that's developing, that doesn't have any stars yet, right? We don't have any legitimate stars yet. We have players that look like they could turn into some, but we don't have any legitimate stars right now. And so having that factor of not quitting is very good for a team. Like, especially this, like the identity of you're gonna have, if you beat us, you're gonna have to put everything out on the floor. To have that mentality as a team, which is really great to see, man. And so I think that's an important part of what we're seeing from this team. It's an important part of the growth aspect as well. That's how you really kind of mold players and get them ready to play. Now, let's pump our brakes on the Chicago Bulls being a dark horse in the East, right? They one more loss and they are out of contention for the 6th seed. So, and to say that you don't really need that either, like especially with the way that the Bulls season started off and things like that. But the Bulls would have to basically win out their remaining 8 games and hope that the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe, who are the 6th seed right now, would lose out the rest of the games to really kind of make that 6th seed. But, it's not about that, right? It wasn't about that coming into the season. We're not going to make it all of a sudden about that now. The Bulls have played really, really good. I just can't say that they're a dark horse yet. A dark horse for what, right? Because they aren't going to be favored to win the first round series, and I think you could get lost in the sauce. The Bulls have been playing really, really good, while the Cleveland Cavaliers are going through one of the toughest stretches of their season, where they have lost like 5 out of their last 10, which is crazy with the record that they had. But I think that the Cavs are pacing themselves. I don't think that's a sign of the Cavs being all of a sudden a weaker team, right? So, at the end of the day, you don't have to be a dark horse to still appreciate what this team has done and how this team has grown over this stretch. They've grown adamantly, and let's see what we can build off of that going into the offseason. But all right, thank you for the voicemail. Great voicemail there. Let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Larry.
What up, Hayes? Larry Automobile. I finally come over to the no taking is, well, it's always not going to happen, but that, we're actually seeing some good changes here. We're leading with the young players. My question is, with Josh Giddey now, definitely is earned himself a significant contract. Do you think that the Bulls should allow him to go out and find the best deal still, or go ahead and offer him something? What do you think that they'll do, and what do you think they should do? I'm of the path that they probably should still let him go find the offer and then match it, so we'll know if we need to trade him down the line, a potential trading partner that we'll have. Like, hey, you were interested in Josh Giddey a year or so ago. What will you give for us now if we find someone, if we happen to be in the lottery and get a replacement point guard or something down the line? I think that may be the way to go. Yeah, so there's a question here. But, enjoying these wins here with the young guys, and definitely a better look to the offense and just how they're playing. It's very entertaining. And I don't even mind not having high chances at a lottery pick anymore. All right, appreciate it, Ace.
So here's the thing, Larry. I think that they'll make an offer. I never thought that it would be that the Bulls be like, "Oh, Josh, just go find your deal. We'll match it." No, they're going to sit down. I think the only time that going out and finding a deal with another team really comes into play here is if they disagree on what they're wanting or offering at that table when they sit at that table, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. If the Bulls, if they look at this stretch that he's on and they say, "All right, bet, hey, we got $30 million for you. We heard that that's what you want. We got that for you." I don't think that it goes to a place. But if the Bulls are like, you know what, Josh, we feel like $28 million, with rising salary raises on that one, we feel like that's a really good place that we want to be in. We want to maintain some future flexibility. And Josh and his agency are like, hey, that's really undercutting us. We think we can get way more than that. And the Brooklyn Nets are one of those teams that could offer some money to. I think it's the Nets and the Jazz are the two teams that can have that level of money. And he goes out there and the Nets are saying, no, we'll give you $32 million actually. And the Bulls are like, oh shit, okay, well, bet we match it. Good. That we know the value around the league. Like, that's what I think it comes down to. But hopefully it doesn't even get to that, right? Like, I don't think the hope should be that they say, oh, just go find, like the Josh Giddey haters will say that, right? But I think that if there is a disagreement on that value for some reason, like I said many times, it helps both sides realize, all right, this is how other teams around the NBA view it, right? And that could end up helping. Now, hopefully, if there's not a large gap and they can figure it out. Josh Giddey said many times he's not worried about it. That'll be worked out in the offseason. And if it is, great. And hopefully it's no harm, no foul. They get it done. We move on, and we can focus on how we're going to continue to build out this team. Let's get this thing done. Let's get on the basketball court and win some basketball games. That's the overall hope. But I do think that there's still a chance, right? And we'll see. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Vikram.
Yo, what up, Pace? Vikram. Yeah, I just wanted to call in because after watching like the last few weeks of Bulls basketball, I'm just so glad looking like in retrospect that we didn't have the opportunity to draft like Cody Williams or Tijon Salon. Like no slight at them, but I remember all throughout that draft process we were all like high on Tijon Saloon, Cody Williams, Modest Buzelis, with some being more high on others, like some people being higher on Tijon Saloon and Cody Williams, and they were on Modest Buzelis and vice versa. I'm just so glad that it happened to be that out of all three of them, that Modest was the one who fell to us. And I'm just, goddamn, bro. Like no slight at them. Like they may be good one day, but like Modest is really just showing that he is one of those, probably going to be one of those building blocks of the future. And I'm really excited for what he can become. Yeah. And I just watched the Mavericks game. I think these are like, yeah, we came out like flat-footed and stuff. Like we didn't look the same that we did against like the Lakers and stuff. But these are those games that I think are good for us because it kind of like helps both sides of the fan base, where it's like the tanking fans get their loss that they wanted, but then the people like what I think is like the best way is like building through the players we have. We saw a lot of growth in our players, especially with Modest. Julian Phillips had a couple of moments where he looked really good. Coby White looks consistent. Giddey didn't have a great game, but I mean it was bound to happen. He was bound to have like a stinker or two, But yeah, overall, I think this last couple of weeks have been really good. Really, yeah. Again, I was really happy that Tijon Salon and Cody Williams didn't fall to the Bulls. Yeah, let me know what you think.
Modest definitely seems like a player who's going to turn into something special potentially for the Bulls, right? Like when you look, and it's not even just about the statistical output. Like when you look at the mentality, how much he learns from his mistakes. I think that's always the telling of a player that is really going to try to hone in and perfect their craft is when they learn from their mistakes. And that's what Modest has done. When you look at the mistakes he was making early in the season, he's not really making those same ones. Now, he's still making rookie mistakes. Maybe he's not making them as frequently. He's still making rookie mistakes, right? But, he's going to grow. And I think that Modest has that mindset. Everything that he learned, every failure that he felt over the course of the season, he is going to be working his ass off in the offseason because he's going to look at it as, you're not going to get me again on the same thing, player. And that's the part that makes Modest special as a player. That's the part that him being on my team in a Bulls uniform makes it feel special. Modest is great, and the potential that he has here is through the roof. And like you said, I did have Tijon. It was Tijon Saloon, Modest Buzelis, and Khalil Ware were one of the three players that I love. And Tijon Saloon is a very different role, but he's shown flashes as well. But I say this, like Modest, if you're talking about the three players that you mentioned, Cody Williams, Tijon Saloon, and Modest Buzelis, Modest is head and shoulders above those guys right now consistently, right? So, we'll see what happens there. Modest has had a great season. And I think the growth, like you pointed out the growth overall, like even from a player like Dalen, like looking at how his shot looks so much better than what it was when he started, right? It's a lot more fluid of a shot, which is why he's having more success with it. But the growth of Josh, the growth of Coby, the growth of us as a team, just playing as a team basketball has been really great to see over this stretch. And let's hope that it continues. All right, let's get into the last voicemail, man. This one's from Brian.
Hayes. Brian here. Hey, man. How you doing? Wanted to talk about Acme, our lovely front office this week. I've been thinking a lot about that crazy press conference he had, or whatever, in which he said, a lot of teams go try to build around 2-3 stars with role players, and we like 9 or 10 very good players. Okay. I don't hate that, kind of. I mean, everyone else did. I don't know. But I feel like we're seeing it right now, right? Like, I feel like we are kind of there. I mean, our very good players, you could squint. You probably have to leave Julian and Dalen off there because they're not very good players yet. They're trying to be. Pat, I mean, I think it's more pointed at the three new guys we picked up. Kevin Herter, Trey Jones, and Zach Collins. They are very good players. They are basically partial starters, we could call them. I don't know what you want to call them. And we're reaping the benefits of it right now with some wins. But we have two, I would say, Coby and Josh are star caliber-ish, You might have to squint a little currently, but I personally believe they are. So I'm not exactly sure what my question is here, but it's kind of like maybe that's not a terrible idea. What you think, man? It's a weird one, right? I don't know what else to say. Anyway, chew on that one, if you will. See ya!
Shout out to Brian in the building. Here's the thing. Having good players to fill out your team, it helps with getting wins and getting the best out of your players as well. Just having players that are just really good. They understand fundamentally how to play basketball really well. They can play in very, very different systems and schemes. They can always find their way. It's really good, right? I think the problem that people more so had with the way AK presented it is that AK presented it as you can win a title with just 9 or 10 really good players. And that's not necessarily true. You do typically need a star. Now, hopefully that star is on the Bulls and they're developing and they're going to turn into that star. But there still is something to be said that having 9 or 10 good players while you're still building, while you're still developing, that is hugely important because you're able to play basketball the right way, and these guys are learning the right way to play the game, right? I always say this. People look at it and say, well, what if we just gave a rookie 20 shots? And it's like, okay, that's cool. They can work on, their shot. They can work on their mechanics, right? They can work on, putting up big numbers, getting maybe, the best defensive assignment. But you want them to learn how to play as a team, right? And it's always a concern for me when players only can play well when they're only getting 20 shots and they don't have another good player to play with, right? So you having those 9 or 10 really good players means that those players that are developing, they still got to play fundamentally sound basketball, which is how, it's worked for this Bulls team. It's why Modest is able to, really learn and grow his game because he's playing fun. It's not what, again, I hate to throw Patrick under the bus, but it's not like Patrick just sitting in the corner taking threes and playing good defense. Like Modest is taking players off the dribble. He's being aggressive. He's doing those type of things. I think that's a really good thing to see from this team. So we'll see how it continues. Well, great voicemail there, Brian. Thank you all for the callers there. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.